A very good morning and welcome to the program coming to you live in the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Medina Azaki. Now, just recently, 5 U.S. House of Representatives did come up with a bill, to sanctions individuals and group they, perceived or suspected to be behind, the perceived genocide against Christians. Now, the Muslim rights concern, Murik, that say that, a proposed bill by the 5 U.S. lawmakers is nothing but unfair, lopsided, and selective. According to them, the proposed legislation reportedly recommended visa ban and asset freezing on former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Isa Kwankwaso, the leader of the Meeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, and as also the cattle, Meeti Allah Kautakore, which, the group have, come up with their public statement saying they denounce, this ban and they are not part of this crisis. So today we'll be looking at how did we get to this point and what does a visa ban or a selective, sanction mean to the fight against terrorism and banditry in Nigeria. This and more when we come back after the break. To stay with us. Welcome back. Joining us via Zoom all the way from Lagos is Mr. Disu Kamar. He's the executive chairman of the Muslim Public Affairs, Council. Mr. Disu, if you can hear me very well, a very good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I can hear you loud and clear. So thank you for having me on the program.
Okay, but I can't see your face. Okay. Okay. All right. Mr. Disu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So we expected this to happen. I think the president has shown that this will happen. But what do you make out of it? The proposed sanctions by the 5 U.S. lawmakers.
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me on the show. Obviously, we are living in an interesting time as Nigerians. And it's really sad that we have come to this point in the history of the security crisis that Nigeria faces. We have been faced by the threats of terrorism for close to 2 decades now, if not more, actually. And it's really sad that we have left a lot of things to get out of shape, out of control, to the point that external actors and players are getting involved, obviously for their own peculiar interests that do not align with Nigeria's unity, with Nigeria's sovereignty, with Nigeria's security. It is sad that we are witnessing the issue transform into different shapes and forms over the last 1 year or so with the involvement of the Trump administration. Firstly, by designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and then issuing threats of military actions and sanctions. Not only threat, we saw in the case of the cases in Sokoto State a few months ago during the Christmas time that was actually attacked by America, and to date we have actually not seen the evidence of the terrorists that were were actually taken out
Yes.
by that particular.
Yes, that's the question I was coming to. That's the question I was coming to. Can a proposed sanction, sanction, punishment, visa ban, can it stop terrorism in Nigeria?
Well, it is important that we recognize some facts and some truths regarding the issue. And I think I want to blame the Nigerian government over several administrations that have actually ruled us since the start of the security crisis that we face. I don't think they have done their job well. They have actually not, tackled the problems squarely, and their inactions and half-hearted, actions dealing with this crisis has exposed us to exploitation by the U.S. actors, in the Congress as well as the executive arm. Now that we are witnessing. Over the years, many of us listening to this program now would have heard our government declare that they have names of sponsors of terrorists, that they have people behind it. Why have these people not been named and prosecuted? This would be the right thing. The Nigerian government should have, actually acted in the complete interest of Nigeria by doing the right thing. It is actually Nigerian government is partly responsible, and I'm not talking specifically about the current administration, which also has its own share of the blame, but successive administration over the years. We have not seen the actual big names that they have claimed that they have. Or that have been reported in the media that the government actually has the names of the sponsors. If those people have been prosecuted and sanctioned, I'm sure that America at this time would not have the justification,
okay,
or the claim that this is exactly what they want to do. And we have seen, and as you can see, the caliber of the entities that have actually been named in the bill that has been proposed in the U.S. The former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Musa Kokanso, the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Miyetti Allah Kautal, our Fulani ethnic nomad militias. All these entities are entirely of Muslim extraction, of Islamic, identity. It leaves a lot of Nigerians, clear-headed, conscientious Nigerians, to wonder if U.S. is actually after dealing with the security issue of promoting its own narrative of a Christian genocide, which has been exposed to be a myth. Actually, Nigerian Muslims have been disproportionately affected by the terrorism over the years. So this is a U.S. administration that is coming with its own agenda, and this is something that should be of serious concern to most Nigerians and our government in particular.
All right. Joining us live also is, the executive director of MORIC, Professor Ishaq Akitola. Prof, if you are listening to us, good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Are we not the cause? This started in 2017 when the administration of Autumn, decided to go to the decided to go to the U.S. He sponsored people to the U.S. to go and tell them that there's a genocide against his people. And the government at that time didn't act. And here we found ourselves today where, a group of people have been targeted as, and been
sad, alarming, and of course, very, very unfortunate for our country, Nigeria. Because this is going to, for several reasons. One major reason is that this is going to divide the Muslims and the Christians in this country much further. Because we have a proverb, for example, that you don't go to court and come back to be friends again. It's like we are at the battlefield now. Our Christian neighbors has dragged us to the battlefront. And of course, I don't see for one, I don't see any need anymore for any sitting together at under the banner of any organization in this country. Muslims should know that whatever they do with their Christian neighbors is being reported. We will be friends in the day, then in the night, they will come together and conspire against us. The Muslims have never done that against their Christian neighbors. However, we want to reject in its totality or Muslim politician as terrorists or terror financiers. I think there is more to this thing than meets the eye.
Is it about
Alaji Utakonkoso is a public figure, a known politician.
But Prof, if you say, you know, this has a sinister move. This started in 2017. Why didn't the Muslim fight back? Why didn't they go to the U.S., either the House of Representatives or the Senate, to go and present their own side of the story? Why did they have to wait for their Christian brothers to be the ones doing that? They didn't counter that. They waited up till now. This is 9 years, if I'm correct. 9 years down the line, what have we done? We have not done anything. So we can't blame people who decide to go and share their own story and their own calamity.
Does everybody have the right to share lies, to share fallacies, to share fables, to share sham? Now, if we didn't go and share our own story, what kind of judge hears a particular story and refuses this or fails to invite the other party? It is a very, very popular, axiom in law that you should hear from the other side. Until the time, hear from the other side. So why is the US not hearing from the Muslim side? And there are Muslims who made efforts to go to the US. We contacted Congress. Some Muslim groups contacted Congress. They never got any reply. Some Muslim groups contacted the US Embassy. They never showed interest. Of course, we are aware that the US Embassy, they never showed interest. Of course, we are aware that the US Embassy extends its hands like invitation to Islamic organizations or to individual Muslims. But how could we show interest when America is known to be always biased towards the Muslims? America doesn't listen to Muslims. The Muslims have been issuing statements for the past 25 years complaining about marginalization, discrimination, rejection, refusal to employ Muslims, the whole of the Southwest, the whole South, Southern government to their state governments, and the governors of the Southwest, for instance, cannot claim to be unaware of petitions written by Muslims against political marginalization being perpetrated by them in Lagos, in New York, in Osun, in Ogun, where Muslims have the majority in the population, except in Ekiti and Ondo. Muslims in those 4 Muslim majority states complained and wrote petitions. Those 4 Muslim majority states complained and wrote petitions against the idea of picking only 3 Muslims as commissioners and about 17 Christians as commissioners. Who does that? In states where the Muslims have the majority, Muslims ask for jobs, they are rejected, although they are eminently qualified. The Muslims have always complained. Nobody has listened. Right now, the Muslims have been complaining about the appointment of Professor Joash Amukwi.
You raised the issue of integrity and all of that. Can a visa ban, let's go back to even Kwankwaso, the man who, was part of those who, put the report together and presented it to the U.S. He is based in the U.S. He's from Benue State, based in the U.S. He was on channel on our sister station yesterday, and he said that he's even surprised to see the name of, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso on that list, and that when the list goes for debate, some of the names will be removed. So it's a work shabbily done, not with the input of the right people. But let's put that's on the one hand. The other question I want to ask you, can a visa ban, and sanctions, destroy the sovereignty of this country and, divide us along, religious line come 2027 elections? Mr. Disu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was muted. I didn't realize that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Firstly,
Let me just state that I fully agree with what my eminent professor said before me regarding the specific issue that he spoke about. Muslims are marginalized, and I think in order to expand what our eminent professor said, I think it's driven by an agenda. And there are a lot of internal as well as external actors that are involved in this agenda. The US government, first and foremost, Nigeria, like you said, with the point I made earlier, is a sovereign country. This issue that we are dealing with to a large extent is an internal issue that the Nigerian government and its people should deal with. And in fact, when Nigeria was wrongly labeled as a country of particular concern, and the Nigerian government was forced to go into serious actions of mitigating the effect of that. We sent a whole contingent of high-level officials to the U.S. to speak with U.S. Lawmakers. Nigeria is not a colony of any world power. I mean, we may be living in a unipolar world, and that is the danger that the world faces from America at the moment as the so-called sole superpower of the world. But we are being Nigerian people line is interested in is to see the end of these crises.
Okay.
Whether we are Muslim, whether we are Christians, whether we're from the south or from the north, we are simply interested in saying that the scourge of terrorism is brought to an end. And anybody that is actually glorifying terrorism, that is sponsoring terrorism, that is financing it or supporting it in any way, is a threat to our national peace and stability. And Nigerian government should be seen, to be working on this on behalf of the Nigerian people. That is what we like to say.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So let me bring in Professor Isiaka Akitola. Prof, what exactly is this government afraid of? They have over 30 governors in their in their pocket. They have the National Assembly. They have the House of Representatives. They have everybody. So why fight the opposition when you know you have governors in their in their pocket? They have the National Assembly. They have the House of Representatives. They have everybody. So why fight the opposition when you know you have everybody in your pocket? Why?
Well, that is a very strange development. For instance, we already condemned the way and manner Malam El-Rufai, Nasser El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, was when an attempt was made to arrest him yesterday at the Abuja Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. He was coming from Cairo, and if the security agencies have anything against him, they could allow him to land, allow him to go home, see his family, and then knock on his door the next morning. But there was too much zealousness. The security agencies appear to have been overzealous. They wanted him nabbed at the airport, and probably humiliated there. Now, Section 41 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria guarantees the personal integrity of the human person, that nobody should be publicly disgraced, dehumanized. And when you arrest a former governor at the airport, handcuff him probably, and then have him photographed by the media, and then it comes out boldly on the front pages of newspapers the next morning. I think we are overdoing things. So that was one attempt, too many. What the case of Malami is still there. We are oblivious of the real fact, and that is why I don't go into politics, and I always avoid commenting too deeply into it, because one doesn't know what is behind what, and one is not a politician anyway. But if security agencies has anything to do with somebody, like even that of Malami, is now being one of the allegations against him is that he's a proper financier. You can start asking, how come? When did this begin? This was a former minister. Was he financing terror? Why, as a sitting minister? And where the facts have not been placed before the Nigerian public. I think, and people like this, including El-Rufai and Malami, they are both in the opposition party, in the same party. It's beginning to look odd to us, and we are trying to put the picture together. And in any case, none of those who are being harassed, who are being intimidated by EFCC now is from the ruling party. All those in the ruling party who have cases with EFCC are now sitting comfortably, and EFCC has most conveniently forgotten about their crime. You see, we can see the nexus between a statement allegedly made by a former chairman of the ruling party, that if you want your sins forgiven, just come to APC. And it disturbed a lot of Nigerians. And I think we are learning a lot from this, because those who are being of Venezuela was kidnapped by America from his country under the allegation that he was being harsh with opposition, that he was intimidating them, he was this and he was that, and that he was undemocratic, that he was being autocratic. So we want to be sure that the same thing is not happening in our country today. We want to be sure that the Americans who are already on ground in our country will not use this against Nigeria again. That opposition members are being harassed
okay.
at the airport. They are not free to move. And this is an area we should be looking at. Our constitution guarantees freedom of movement within and outside Nigeria. El-Rufai is a citizen, a bona fide citizen of Nigeria.
Okay.
And he should be free to travel out and return. His traveling transport, his international passport was snatched yesterday in a very crude manner. I think we can do better than that. The security agency can do better than that. They have created so much tension that the supporters of El-Rufai have to mobilize, form a ring around El-Rufai, and make sure
are feasible to all Nigerians, especially in respect to the way that members of the opposition parties are either given, persuaded, and maybe given a free pass to either join the ruling party, or if they don't, then there will be consequences. It seems to many Nigerians, it's a major concern. It's a major concern to most Nigerians, and it's actually a threat to the hard-won democracy that most Nigerians alive today actually fought for. In a lot of we don't have to forget the fact that it's not only some people. We are now in a system where about 30 of our states are managed by people who decamp. Were originally part of the ruling party, and some of them actually become to join. There must be incentives for them that motivated their decision to cross carpet, to jump ship. It is definitely not in the benefit of the Nigerian state to actually create a situation where everybody will belong to a single party. This was not the conception of the founding fathers that actually of democracy in Nigeria. This was not their dream. So I think Nigerian government needs to engage in a lot of introspection to actually understand that overall it's not for the benefit of Nigerians. There is going to be a threat of free and fair election if we continue along that line. Then, like like our professor actually said earlier, look at the gory scene that Nigerians actually and images and sound that Nigeria actually were exposed to on their TV and in the newspaper yesterday with the case of Malam El Rufai at the airport. How can the people in charge of our law enforcement demonstrate that what they did was completely in tune with the rule of law? The government and its citizens, the government and its citizens must be subjected to a fair and impartial legal system. There are procedures. Even if somebody has become an element of interest to the law enforcement, there are procedures to follow. You don't go to the airport and hunt down people that are just coming in without due notice of invitation or notice of possible crimes that they have committed, and you bring in cameras and you do all these shenanigans you witness. It's a disgrace. And those people that were involved in that shenanigans should be ashamed of the executive level, the state, the federal level, and the sub-state levels. But also, another dimension to the threat that Nigerian democracy faces has to do in the threat to the separation of power. There seems to be no respect for the separation of power in terms of the way the legislature actually behaves at the moment. It's become more or less a body of lawmakers that are waiting to rubber stamp anything that comes from the executive. They have literally abandoned their role and responsibility for oversight on the executive. That is one of the primary reasons people elected them into that chamber to actually make sure that they bring they serve as a leech on the neck of the executive, but we are not saying that at the moment.
Okay.
There's no system of checks and balance that divides the three divisions of government in the country at the moment.
Mr. Disu, let me jump in here. For those who will say this is not new, we saw this treatment in 2013, 2014. This same government was in the opposition at that time, and the government that
you do to others as others did unto you, if those others are done an evil thing to you. So we shouldn't make it a tradition of our democratic value and system that one government will come into power. I mean, it becomes a vicious cycle, and they shouldn't make excuses.
Okay.
People shouldn't make excuses. It's about all those things to try to justify their own misbehavior on the premise that they have been served the same type of injustice by other people. That is not right. And they are leaders, and they should serve as leaders, as Nigerian leaders.
Okay. Let me move into a trend where this country will be heavily dominated by Christians in terms of leadership and position and all of that. But again, the question is, can this country afford a religious war? Today, we have Christians and Muslims in every family. So whoever is bringing the narrative of dividing this country along those lines, will it work? And how dangerous is it?
Thank you. Let me let me give my contribution to the issue raised earlier on about the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You see, I agree with Brother Disukamo, chairman of MPAC, Muslim Media Center, when he said, no, he doesn't believe Bola Tinubu is a despot or a brutal dictator. No, it doesn't come to that. I think if looking at his background and knowing the role he played in the days of Ladepo during military rule, he was an activist, and I can testify personally to that. I was in the campaign for democracy myself, CD, and from there I grew to, and I trained as a human rights activist. From there I established the Muslim Rights Concerning in 1994. And then from my experience, I know, because I belong to the CD, I know the role that the current president played when he was also an activist, and that the kind of support he gave to CD, Campaign for Democracy, and the kind of support he gave to Nadeco, both within Nigeria and outside when you are in the US. Having said that, I would like to say that the presidency will have to watch out so that Nigeria does not slide into a dictatorship, into a one-party system. You see,
but Prof, let me jump in here. Prof, let me jump in here. Prof, if you can hear me, let me jump in here. You did say you don't believe he's a dictator, but why is he fighting the opposition?
Good. We have not seen his personal role. We have not seen, we have no evidence that he has issued any personal order, executive or otherwise. So all we know is it is possible we have overzealous security agents, overzealous, powerful politicians, ministers, and so on. You look at the crisis between the governor of Rivers State now and a particular minister in government who belongs to that same state. So you cannot sieve out the role of the presidency in this, and apart from the fact that it has been trying to placate both sides. But a minister may be trying to be overzealous. That does not mean that the president stands in. So a security agent may want to be too enthusiastic, whereas it wasn't the instruction given to him by the Director General. You see, styles and methods differ from person to person. I have seen situations whereby a security agent acted the one way, and his superior called him and said, "No, you shouldn't have done this. I think in future you should do this."
Okay.
It depends. We stopped wasting our time in Naira. That is the Nigerian interreligious body, where the Muslims and the Christians meet at the center. I don't think that Naira is working. If not wasting our time in Naira. That is the Nigerian interreligious body.
State will be disintegrated in 2040. That didn't work out. Is that what is playing out in 2026? And how can we avoid it collectively? In 30 seconds, sir.
Thank you very much. I think the message should be to all Nigerians to rally around one another and recognize that we may be different. There may be diversity amongst us in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of other characteristics and identity. But we are one people with common destiny. And it is important for us to recognize that, however, we disagree amongst each other, But we are one people, forces that have absolute, we have in Libya, we have in Syria, we have in Afghanistan.
Okay.
A failed state, like America and its allies, pertaining also about what he has not said.
Okay.
The people in the law enforcement community, the ministries, are his employees. They work under him. So if he's seen any type of injustice or improper behavior on their part, he has a responsibility to call them to order. Otherwise, Nigerians will be left with no choice than to assume that they are working on his directive or his approval. So it is important for him to recognize that it is not just about what he says, it is also about what he's doing, pertaining to the harassment of the opposition. I don't think it's the people in the law enforcement community, the ministries, are his employees. They work under him. So if he's seen any type of injustice or improper behavior on their part, he has a responsibility to call them to order. Otherwise, Nigerians will be left with no choice than to assume that they are working on his directive or his approval. So it is important for him to recognize that it is not just about what he says, it is also about what he refuses to say at the right time.
Okay, gentlemen, to this government. But thank you, sir, for your time. Professor Isiaq Akitola is the executive director of the Muslim Rights Concern, and he's also the founder of MORIC. Many thanks for your time, sir. And Mr. Disu Kamar is the executive director of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. Thank you very much, sir, for your timely intervention into this program. Thank you very much. And that's the show. I will see you Monday, bright and early. From me, Medina Azaki, and the whole team here, it's bye for now. From me, Medina Azaki, and the whole team here, it's bye for now.